And then in addition to that, after setting that vision, making sure that we equipped ourselves to get to a point where we know what we're worth. And like I was talking about earlier, getting to a point where no one else can tell you that you're any less than what you know you are. And getting to a point where you're smart, or you're getting smart with the skills that you're gaining, the stuff that you're learning, the experiences that you're having, to the point where you can go to an employer and say, here's my list of skills. Here are the qualities that I will bring. Here are the capabilities that I have. And making your case to get the position, the role, the things that you want in life. Sometimes it's even, I know for me right now, it's getting investors. Like making sure that we're doing what we can to prove your worth and know it. And in many cases, some of this is just on our resumes. In many cases, when our first introduction to a lot of employment opportunities is the resume. They get that before they even see our faces sometimes. But we're not articulating our worth and our qualities on that sheet of paper. And sometimes that's making it to a point where before we even have a chance, we've already thrown it out the window. And I bring up this point because a lot of us in this room are students, and then we're about to go off into professional life all over again. And I know this past December, I had a friend who was graduating, and she hadn't yet found a job. And when I asked her, well, what is it that you bring to an employer? And what is it that you really want to do? Well, she didn't know. We got to know this stuff, guys. We got to know it. And part of this is because there's a trickling effect that happens when we express our worth and we get the skills that we need. It becomes a matter of, getting to a point where you're qualified to earn the wages that you really, really want, and get the jobs and the opportunities that you really seek in order to establish a way of life that is fitting for that bold vision that you set. And a lot of that increases the well-being that we have throughout the rest of our lives. And I bring this back into some research that we've been doing here at the Brown School, dealing with issues of poverty and well-being and mental health. Well, in a lot of cases, and I don't remember the stats specifically because I didn't actually write this down in my speech, but in many cases, a Black person who has experienced poverty throughout their life, by age 35, has already accumulated more stress than someone who is white and has lived a more privileged life by age 75. And I'll rephrase that. Because of the stress that we incur living in poverty, by the time we reach age 35, we've already gained as much stress in our lives as someone who is white, more privileged, that they gained by age 75. And so I find that really starking, because in this life, we talk a lot about, or at least in this school, we talk a lot about equity and equity of opportunity. And in many cases, we're not starting on the same path. So if you're in that situation where, perhaps life is a little bit on that financial struggle, then we got to get to a place where that worth, those qualities, those skills are at a point where we can compete. And with thinking about the word compete, it also makes me think about something that one of our professors said to us in class this past week. We just started class here at the Brown School, and our Professor Jack Kirkland, I think I just saw him in the doorway, but he said something really profound to us. He said, and it kind of sounded like he was paranoid, I'll be honest, but what he said that we live in a country that would rather pay poor people, Black people, Latino people, to be poor than equip them with the skills to compete. And that's something that's really powerful, because when you really think about this, we have so many people in our nation, in our country, who are living on welfare, who are suffering from generational poverty, from cycles and cycles of issues that they have to really, really dig themselves out of. And at the same time, in this nation, we're very slow with this education reform. In many of our poorest communities, we also find the worst schools. But we're not doing anything to really enhance these communities on a dynamic level yet. So in a sense, Professor Kirkland is right. We live in a country that would rather keep people on welfare rolls than help them find the education that they need and the skills that they need and the job opportunities, quality job opportunities that they need in order to compete in this society. And part of that is a power structure. And recognizing this is part of point number 7, recognizing what and who is holding you back. In many cases, it's right. I mean, he's right. It's our system. We can't deny that we have institutional, systematic, and social forces that threaten to hold us back. But at the same time, in recognizing what and who is holding us back, that also means looking in the mirror. In many cases, it's ourselves that is holding us back. And it's our attitude, it's our mindset. In many cases, we don't know what we don't know, but there's a lot that we don't know. And so getting smart, that point that I made earlier, that's part of like knowing what you don't know. And getting to a point where what we are seeking in life is starting to come in line and balance with what we are equipped with and what we have and with the skills and the knowledge sets that we have. And once we recognize these things that are holding us back in our lives, and maybe even sometimes it's things like freeloaders, the people, the families, the friends in our lives. But once we recognize them, then we have to eliminate some of this stuff.